I'll have the heat cranked all the way up. So it's like, you know what? The more I turn the heat up, it still feels like it's cold there. Let's see. It's gonna be a fun night. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a fun night tonight. I knew that when I looked at the agenda. I said, oh, here we go. When I looked at the public comments.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the City of Joliet Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, December 19th, 2024 at 4 p.m. Staff can call the roll.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Crumpton?
Here.
Mr. Kella? Mr. Martin?
Here.
Mr. Orlando?
Here.
Mr. Perez? Ms. Radakovich?
Here.
Ms. Rohr?
Here.
Mr. Turk?
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have quorum. Just a point of order here in the agenda. I understand last meeting when we met last week, there was a motion to have vote for vice chair as an agenda item on this agenda that was left off this agenda in error, and the Plan Commission chairman could not be here today. So to move forward, we need a motion and a vote on a temporary chair just to run this meeting. So
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Bridget Rohr as a temporary chair.
Second.
all in favor of Bridget Rohr as temporary chair for this meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Bridget, you are the temporary chair.
Wow, that's kind of a scary thought, but thank you. Okay, so I guess we will call to order the Plan Commission for December 19th, 2024. We already called row, correct? So can we get an approval for minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Crumpton?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
Aye.
Ms. Radakovich?
Aye.
Mr. Turk?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is citizens to be heard on agenda items. This section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding agenda items and are allowed a maximum of 4 minutes. It is not a question and answer period, and staff and Plan Commission members do not generally respond to public comments. If you have comments on anything to be heard on with the agenda, you're welcome to do so now. Please note, we will also allow you to step forward when the case is called, but if you would like to make comments now, if you keep those comments to 4 minutes and on topic with the agenda, we welcome those comments right now.
There's a copy of the agenda on this, this desk right over here if you'd like to grab one.
Is it both pages or just one?
Yeah, sorry, there's one that's in Spanish and then there's one that's in English.
You're welcome to do so now. You can also do so, we'll call that item to order in just a little bit.
When you call it, that's when we make it.
It's the only agenda item, so.
Yeah, there's only one agenda item on there today. So you're able to speak right now, but you're also able to speak after the petitioner has spoken and kind of given a description. Our Raymond here will read everything to give you a good explanation of what is being voted on today. The petitioner will come up and speak, and then you would also have an opportunity then to ask any questions or speak onto the agenda item. Typically, people will speak after the agenda and everything has been read.
Are you allowed to show photos?
Yeah. You can show anybody up here. Yeah.
Can we do that now?
I believe you would have to wait. Typically, people will wait after the petitioner speaks because it's very possible that they answer a lot of questions or they say things that you might want to actually comment on. If you speak now, you're held to your 4 minutes. So it's better to most of the time speak then, but you are able to speak now if you would like.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to old business public hearing. There is none. Moving on to old business, there is no old business. Under new business public hearing, the items before you today are PUD-12-24, preliminary plan unit development of Prairie Landing subdivision, PUD-13-24, final plan unit development of Prairie Landing subdivision. Please note staff is requesting that this item be tabled to the January 16th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting. And item Z-3-24, reclassification of 17.9 acres located at 2200 Essington Road from R4 multifamily residential and B3 general business to R2 single-family residential zoning. And with that, I will read the staff report into the record. Under general information, the applicant is D.R. Horton. The status of the applicant is contract purchaser developer. The owner is Westside Joliet RE LLC. Requested action is approval of the preliminary plan unit development of Prairie Landing and reclassification of the existing R4 and B3 zoning to R2 zoning. Purpose to allow development of a 120 lot residential subdivision. Under existing zoning, R2 single-family residential, R4 multifamily residential, and B3 general business. The location was 2200 Essington Road. Size of the property is 44 acres. Existing land use is undeveloped. Under surrounding land use and zoning, to the north is residential, the Picardy subdivision, R2 single-family residential. To the south is residential, the Warwick 5 subdivision, R2 single-family residential. To the east, agricultural, undeveloped, unincorporated Will County A1 agricultural. And to the west, commercial, including a self-storage facility and car dealership with B3 general business zoning. Under site history, subject site is located on the east side of Essington Road near the intersection with Old Castle Road. The bulk of the site is located to the east of the businesses at 2000 through 2100 Essington Road and is currently zoned R2 single-family residential and R4 low-density multifamily residential. A strip of the property at the northwest corner, currently zoned B3 general business, provides access to Essington Road across from Old Castle Road and the Wexford subdivision. Subject site is 44 acres in total, with 16.6 acres zoned R4, 1.3 acres zoned B3, and 26 acres zoned R2. Site was annexed in 1973 along with the surrounding land east of Essington Road and north of Theodore Street. In 1993, the property was reclassified to its current R2 and R4 zoning for a proposed single and multifamily subdivision that was never recorded or built. Recently, subject property was included as lots 4 and 5 of the preliminary plat for Westside Joliet Real Estate LLC subdivision, which was approved in 2021. Unit 1 of that subdivision was recorded in 2021 and includes 3 commercial lots, lots 1, 2, and 3, adjacent to the northwest side of the site. Lots 4 and 5 were never recorded and the preliminary plat has since expired. Storm detention for the 3 lots in Unit 1 is located on the subject parcel, and stormwater management easements for this were recorded in September 2021. Under special information, the preliminary plan unit development of Prairie Landing subdivision consists of 120 single-family lots on approximately 44 acres. The lots are organized around a main road which is accessed from Essington Road. The subdivision includes a small park lot and multiple storm detention areas. The petitioner is requesting an associated zoning reclassification to rezone the existing B3 and R4 portions of the site to R2 zoning so that the entire site has R2 zoning. The proposed lots will be built to R2 zoning requirements, which include a minimum lot area of 7,500 square feet. The proposed house plans include 3 models and with around 10 total elevations. The houses will be 2 stories and approximately 2,000 to 2,600 square feet with 4 to 5 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and 2-car attached garages. The front elevations include between 25% and 41% brick or stone, with an average of 34%. The petitioner is requesting a variation from the residential design standards, which require 50% of the front elevations of at least 50% of the detached single-family dwelling units to be comprised of brick or stone. The proposed elevations will have at least 25% brick or stone on 100% of the dwelling units. Staff supports this request given the design of the proposed elevations, which are comparable to existing houses in nearby subdivisions. Subdivision will have a main access road titled Road A off Essington Road, along with interior streets that feed back into the main street. Road A is designed to connect the undeveloped site to the east if that were ever developed. Road A will intersect with Essington Road in alignment with Old Castle Road on the west side. The intersection will be designed to accommodate a traffic signal if that were ever needed in the future. All streets within the subdivision will be public streets to be dedicated to the city. The petitioner is requesting a variance from the Public Works Construction Ordinance to allow local streets with a 60-foot right-of-way instead of a 66-foot right-of-way. Staff does not support this request. However, the developer has proposed a 15-foot public utility easement in the front yard of all lots so that the main utilities such as gas, electric, and communications can locate in this area instead of within the right-of-way. The developer will be responsible for working with those utility companies to formalize that arrangement prior to final and recording plat approval. Road A, which runs east-west across the site and would be the future connection for the undeveloped property to the east, will have the required right-of-way width of 66 feet. The petitioner has submitted a landscape plan and tree survey and preservation plan for the site. The landscaping plan includes plant materials around the storm detention ponds, parkway trees along the streets, and additional landscaping near the entrance sign and in the park lot. The tree survey shows that some of the existing trees on the site will remain, but most will be removed. The developer will need to replace or pay into the tree bank for any trees of acceptable species that are removed as required by the Unified Tree Ordinance. The attached project narrative outlines the phasing, financial, and marketing plan for the development. The development will be completed in one phase with full build-out projected to be completed within approximately 3 years. Public improvements, water and sewer connection fees, school donation fees, and development impact fees will be required for this subdivision. The developer is currently working with the Plainfield Park District to determine the amount of cash contribution in lieu of a park and recreation and land donation. The developer presented this subdivision proposal to the city's Land Use and Economic Development Committee on November 25th, 2024. As of the writing of this report, the petitioner has organized a neighborhood meeting for the evening of December 16th, 2024, which occurred earlier this week, to discuss their proposal with property owners near the site within the adjacent residential subdivisions. Staff is requesting that the final plan unit development of Prairie Landing subdivision, which was advertised with the preliminary PUD and reclassification, be tabled to the January 16, 2025 Plan Commission meeting to provide additional time for the developers team to finalize the final PUD and for staff to then review the engineering plans associated with the final plat. Under analysis, approval of the preliminary plan unit development of Prairie Landing subdivision, along with the reclassification of the existing R4 and B3 zoning to R2 zoning, will allow the developer to proceed with finalizing plans for the development of a 120-lot residential subdivision with R2 zoning throughout. Future approval of the final plan unit development is still required. One additional note that I want to make on the staff report, it was requested that the staff report note into the record that Mayor Darcy has a financial interest in the potential sale of this property. And that concludes staff's report.
Can we have the petitioner please come up to the podium?
Good afternoon.
Hi. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I do have a PowerPoint presentation. A lot of it would probably be redundant because Mr. Heidner stole my thunder, but I'm happy to run through that as quickly as you would like.
Yes, if you could do it quickly.
Sure. So as I mentioned, my name is Steve Bauer. I'm an attorney and entitlements manager with D.R. Horton, Inc. Midwest, which is the contract purchaser of the subject property. D.R. Horton Inc. Midwest is the Chicago division.
Maybe bring it a little bit closer. I do think it's on, though.
The light's on.
Yeah, maybe, there you go. Yeah, just a little closer.
Okay, so to start over, my name is Steve Bauer. I'm an attorney and entitlements manager with D.R. Horton Inc. Midwest, which is the contract purchaser of the subject property. D.R. Horton Inc. Midwest is the Chicago division of national home builder D.R. Horton. For anyone who's not familiar with D.R. Horton, it's the largest home builder in the country by volume, has been so for the past 22 years, was established 46 years ago, currently operates in 125 markets across 36 states, has a long history of building in the city of Joliet, including the communities of Cedar Creek, Legacy Point, and Sable Ridge. The company as a whole closed on nearly 94,000 homes in the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2024. The Chicago division specifically closed on over 1,100 homes during that same duration. Thank you. This slide shows a regional aerial image of the subject property, which is located on the east side of Essington Road, about a quarter mile south of Caton Farm Road. The specific address is 2200 Essington Road. This close-up aerial shows the location of the subject property, which is bounded in red. Again, as I said, it's on the east side of Essington Road, specifically south of the Picardy subdivision, north of the Warwick subdivision, east of the Extra Space Storage Facility and the Darcy Buick GMC dealership, and then, of course, further east from the Wexford subdivision on the west side of Essington Road. As you can probably see, there's an L-shaped basin, stormwater management basin, that exists directly to the east of the Extra Space Storage Facility, directly north of the outdoor parking for the dealership. That is an existing basin. As I mentioned, it currently serves the Extra Space Storage Facility, but is also designed to accommodate stormwater management needs for the subject development. As I'll explain in limited detail further in the presentation, part of the project proposal is to modify that basin, in part for beautification efforts and in part for additional stormwater management capacity. I do want to note before we leave the slide that, as you can see, Gulfview Drive to the north stubs into the property. There is no proposal or desire to provide a connection to Gulfview Drive as part of this development. Similarly, to the south, Delrose Street, I saw a public comment pertaining to the connection of Delrose Street. That also is neither desired nor proposed, nor is it even possible, because that property actually stubs into the dealership, that street actually stubs into the dealership property. Next slide, please. So this is the site plan, which consists of 120 single-family detached lots. As staff mentioned, it's 44 acres in size. The minimum lot size is 7,500 square feet, which is conforming with the applicable R2 zoning district, to which the entirety of the subject property is sought to be rezoned. There are 3 basins, as shown with blue and green coloration. That L-shaped basin that I spoke of earlier, you can see is now modified to have sort of an undulating shoreline. And then, of course, there's a basin to the north and then a basin sort of to the southeast. There's a general east-west roadway, as you can see, which would serve as the 4th leg of the intersection of Essington and Old Castle Road. That roadway is intended to not only serve the community, but provide a stubbed connection to the east for the development of the Heron Farm property to the further east, off the slide, of course, if and when that property is developed, which, to be clear, is not a part of this proposal. The resulting density of the project is 2.73 dwelling units per acre, and there are 13.7 acres, or approximately 39% acres, that will remain as open space, either in the form of private park space or stormwater management areas. At present, D.R. Horton is contemplating 3 different floor plans with 10 different building elevations, front building elevations. Those floor plans range in size from approximately 2,050 square feet to up to 2,600 square feet. Each of the homes will be 2 stories in height, have a minimum of 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and an attached 2-car garage. These are a sampling of some of those building elevations. As you can see, they're designed to provide varying architectural treatments, including horizontal and vertical siding, cedar shake siding, decorative gable brackets, and then, as staff mentioned earlier, the incorporation of masonry. To accomplish the proposal, as staff mentioned, there are 2 requests sought. One is a rezoning of the entirety of the property to the R2 classification. As staff mentioned, it's currently zoned B3 in part, R4 in part, and R2 in part. Again, the request before you this evening, or excuse me, afternoon, is for the entirety of the site to be zoned R2. And then in conjunction with that request, a request for preliminary planned unit development approval, also with a reduction in right-of-way width for the portions of roadway north and south of that main east-west roadway that I referenced earlier. That reduction in right-of-way width would be from 66 feet to 60 feet. That's a product of the design for this community having preceded the city's amendment to its right-of-way width standard this past summer. And that would also be done in conjunction with the provision of 2 15-foot utility easements on each side of the roadway, as staff mentioned. And then the additional variation request sought in conjunction with the planned unit development approval is, as staff mentioned, the provision of 25% masonry on 100% of the homes, as opposed to 50% masonry on only 50% of the homes. I think I'll leave my opening remarks at that, given the significance of staff's presentation and whatever level of comment the public may wish to provide. I would, of course, like to ask respectfully for your recommendation of support. I do want to mention that in advance of this meeting, as staff mentioned, we did hold a neighborhood meeting this past Monday evening. In addition to the notice of public hearing that's provided by city ordinance to all residents within 600 feet or 600-foot radius of the subject property, we also delivered notice to all remaining homeowners within both the Picardy and Warwick subdivisions, so that the entirety of those subdivisions were notified, as well as to a majority of the residents to the west in the Wexford subdivision. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, I think I'll stop at this point and afford you an opportunity to ask you or the public any questions they may have.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the commission?
Yes, I have a few. You said that there's going to be 120 residential homes
Correct.
in the entire subdivision, on the 44 acres?
Correct.
And no townhomes, right?
Correct. All single-family detached.
Oh, okay, good. That's a good point. And is there going to be a red light off of Essington Road by Old Castle Road?
There is.
That would be the entrance to get in?
Yes, the fourth leg that I referred to earlier is the intersection will not currently have a traffic signal installed. We've provided a traffic warrant analysis to the city in response to its request, demonstrating that a traffic signal is not currently warranted. However, we are obligated in response to city request to participate in the future installation of a traffic signal if warranted upon development of the Heron property to the east.
Okay. All right, and another point I have here too is you said that there's a 60-foot right-of-way instead of a 66-foot right-of-way. What does that entail?
So you have to look closely at the site plan before you, but if you look, see where the large rectangular stormwater management basin is located? Can you see that on your screen?
Yeah.
Directly north of that is a road A label. That road A will be 66 feet in width. The remaining roads, B, C, and D, will be 60 feet in width. And that's, of course, right of way, not pavement or back of curb to back of curb.
Well, how come they shortened up the right-of-way from 66 feet to 60?
As I mentioned earlier, the city's standard for right-of-way used to be a 60-foot width, and that changed this past summer as an amendment. Correct. And the design of the site actually approaches nearly a year ago, so the design of the site long preceded the amendment, and as a result, we sought and are seeking city approval of a reduction in right-of-way limited to those roadways, not the east-west portion that I referenced earlier, which is labeled roadway A. And the reason we're seeking that is in part because the property was designed in advance of the amendment to the city code that now mandates the 66-foot right-of-way width, and in part because we're also providing a total of 30 feet of utility easement, 15 feet on each side of the roadway, which accommodates the need for utilities.
Okay, all right. Also, there's a 25% and a 41% brick and stone. Why is there a reduction in that now?
The numbers you're referring to, I think, are reflective of the building elevations that were submitted some months back. What we are seeking is, in lieu of the city's requirement that at least 50% of the buildings have at least 50% brick or stone, we would instead provide 25% masonry, brick or stone, on 100%. So it's a proportionate reduction. So instead of providing only 50% of the buildings with brick or stone, we will instead provide 100% of the buildings with brick or stone. And then conversely, instead of providing 50% of brick or stone, of the overall face of the building, we will provide 25%. Does that make sense?
Not really.
So I'm not sure how to say it differently. So, for example, if you look at any one of these given representative front building elevations, by city ordinance at present, what is required is that at least half of all of the homes in the community have to have at least 50% brick or stone on the front facade. And what we're instead proposing is, instead of half of the homes, we will provide all of the homes with masonry treatment. But we're going to do that on a proportionate basis. So instead of providing them with 50% coverage, we would provide them with 25% coverage. But the reason we would do that is because we'll apply it universally to all homes instead of only half the homes.
Okay, so that would be in reference to whichever home the homeowner picks, right?
Well, all of the homes will have
Will
a
have the
minimum
same
of 25.
amount.
Correct.
Okay.
But yes, there will be varying elevations reflective of the sampling that's shown on the screen before you now.
Okay, all right. Another thing I have for you is, what's the purpose of a cul-de-sac? Is it for just aesthetics or just for practicality?
I think the answer is practicality, as between the two options you provided. I mean, the cul-de-sac is providing an opportunity for vehicular turnaround. So in the case of a dead-end street, as is the case, for example, in either Picardy to the north or Warwick to the south, instead of that street just coming to a stub, like, for example, is shown on the eastern, the right-hand side of the concept plan, instead of it simply coming to a stub, which then makes it difficult, if not impossible, to turn around, at least without a three-point turn, you instead have the ability to drive down the stem of the cul-de-sac, and when you get to the bulb, the circular portion, you then have the ability to, in a single vehicular movement, traverse around that bulb and then back out the same way you came.
Okay. But here's the problem I have with cul-de-sacs. Number one is that what happens is the city of Joliet has to hire outside contractors for snow removal, and which is an added cost for the snow removal for the city. Would by any chance, would staff recommend to eliminate cul-de-sacs?
So in general, we try to remove cul-de-sacs where we can. In some instances as this, you might not be able to. Where all this really stemmed from, where cul-de-sacs really started coming in, is when the introduction of stormwater management systems came in, like detention ponds, because they have to put them in certain spots, and that cuts off access to various points. In this case, there's not really an access point to that. So with only one cul-de-sac in this subdivision, that's not uncommon as we go through.
Well, you got 4 of them here now.
Well, the other ones are eyebrows. Those aren't cul-de-sacs.
What's the difference between an eyebrow and a
So a cul-de-sac is a dead end. Look at it as a dead end. An eyebrow you can pass through like that, where you have two-way traffic going all the way around.
Okay,
It's
so
like a bump out.
So a road B, that would be the exact cul-de-sac, right?
Yes, that's the cul-de-sac.
Road B?
Yeah, the ones off of Road C, Road F, Road D, that area, those are eyebrows. Those aren't actually classified as cul-de-sacs. So we would still plow those. And the item that you're referencing, as far as the when we have to call contractors out, is only at a certain snowfall event. It's not every event.
Well, yeah, they say usually around 4 to 6 inches
Correct.
of snow is when they have to call out a contractor, right?
Possibly. It doesn't happen every time, but possibly we call them out.
Yeah, well, okay. And I have another question for you, too.
Sure.
Will Delrose Street always be a dead end?
Yeah, again, there's no opportunity to extend Delrose as part of this project because Delrose is not even contiguous, not even
Okay.
touching this development site.
So, okay, because I got a couple complaints about Delrose Street running in, being a dead end, and I just wanted to make that clear, so.
Understood. All I can say is that an opportunity to extend Delrose, if that were your or anyone's desire, would have been addressed or could have been addressed as part of the dealership development.
Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, another thing too, so there's not gonna be no multi-family, residential homes. I mean, not residential, but, townhomes and that. No residential at all. I mean,
Nothing,
townhomes,
correct. Nothing
Okay.
other than single-family homes.
single family, okay, good. I can live with that. Okay, that's about all questions I have for you.
Thank
Any
you.
more questions from the commission?
I do.
Yes.
What are the price points for these homes?
The anticipated average sales price is in the low 400s.
Anybody else from the commission with any questions?
The only question I have would be, have you all spoken with the Plainfield school districts to talk about, as far as density is concerned, are they able to accommodate the number of incoming students that would happen? How would that impact the existing school systems?
Sure, good question. So I personally have spoken with the Plainfield Community Consolidated School District 202 board president. He did not express any concerns. He did, as you would expect, ask me to contact the superintendent. I did that a couple days ago and have not yet heard back.
Okay.
Seeing no more comments from the commission, is there anybody who would like to step forward and speak in favor of the agenda item? Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to come forward and speak in opposition of the agenda item? Come on.
I would like to speak in favor of it.
Come on, you can come forward.
Okay, thank you.
And before you speak, I'll just have you swear in. Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Tell me.
Give your name and address.
I'm Judy Gardner. I'm 20, live at 2303 Gulfview. I was executive vice president with John Leach Homes, and we developed both Picardy and Warwick. And this has been an ongoing issue with multifamily, all kinds of things that the constituents really were not in favor of in this area. And to me, I think this is the most wonderful, best use of a plan, and it actually is superior to what we built, because these are 4 to 5 bedroom homes. They're 2,600 square feet, and they're required to have brick and stone, which some of ours did, some of ours didn't. So I think it's nothing.
Can we
but
have
a
comments from the
plus.
audience at a
Sorry?
minimum, please? Just try to be quiet in the audience.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. No, you're fine. Please go on.
I apologize. So I live, I'm at the vacated lot, vacated street at Gulfview. So the proposed street that would be going along my stormwater detention easement, which is backed up to my, attached with my property, I have 3 lots there. So actually, I would be the only one that'd be so-called impacted by that street going along, but I'm happy because it's a tree line, and it's gonna be perfect. It's the only place to really put that street, and everywhere they're doing a little stormwater detention easement, it kind of buffers, Picardy to this, Prairie Landing, which is great. That will be very lovely there. So I'm the one that's closest to it, because not only would I have the street going there, but I also I'm right there at Gulfview, and I have those 3 lots. So I'm totally thrilled by it personally.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks.
If anybody would like to speak that's opposed to the project, please stand up and come forward. I would just like to remind people too, that if you could not be too repetitive with your comments. If somebody has stated something, try to add on to it, but let's not just keep saying the same thing over and over. Let's add to some creative ideas. And I'll swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
My name's Mary Simeone. I live at the dead end of Vimy Ridge and Verdon Drive. And even though some people think this is a great idea, they already have the most beautiful private lot in the whole thing. They are not going to be dealing with what we're dealing with. Currently, you can see the road that comes in. There is an open, like a half lot right here, which is a retention pond, because we are at the lowest point of the subdivision. We currently get horrible flooding. They finally came out a few years ago and they did something, and it hasn't come up over the street, but I can show you where the water was. I've already had my basement gutted 3 times. It was a $30,000 gut last time. They were out there in September with bulldozers, and my kitchen looks right through this where it's open back there. They put nothing, no plans for any type of stormwater for us, which is where we need it the worst. This end of this subdivision floods. It used to create flooding at the other end of Gulfview, but they did something so that it's not backing up there, but it still runs off the cornfield. I'm at the dead end of Vimy Ridge and Verdon Drive. I'm super concerned that they put all these houses in, and they gave us no stormwater, no berming. These houses are gonna back right up to the houses across the street. And they were out there with bulldozers on September 18th. They dug up a clay tile. When I asked them at our neighborhood meeting, they denied it. I have pictures of it because there's a stake where they wrote 7-inch clay line to 39-inch invert. They dug it up, broke the clay, and then bulldozed over it. And when I called the city that day, they said, I gave them my PIN number. They said, we know exactly where you're at. We have no plans. We don't. No one's back there. We don't know what's going on. And I figured maybe Mr. Darcy was doing something. So why does Mr. Darcy's lot have all of the stormwater SWM? I'm not sure what that stands for, and it butts up to all his property, but we have nothing back here where we flood. And eventually, because this is Crest Hill, the other farm field, if they punch that through, I'm wondering, are they gonna also punch Vimy Ridge through, and then the dead end goes away? So now we're gonna have dust and dirt and light pollution and possible flooding for 3 years. I'm a single mom. My son has a year and a half, 2 years of college left. I really want to sell my home. My selling point was the privacy and the quiet that I have back there. And if they're putting all these houses for $400,000 in, I had my house appraised for $425,000 a year ago. My value is going to go down because who's going to buy a 30-year-old house when they can buy a brand new house in 3 years? So I'm not happy about it. I'm not going to get a good deal, and neither are any of these people that have properties that back up to all of these houses right here. This is a major concern. We are a dead end. I have pictures of the flooding I can show you that was horrific. I'm super concerned that why can't they take some of this storm water away from the back of Darcy? He parks used cars back there. Why does he need all that? Why can't we have some protection for our homes back here? This is ridiculous. We have no beauty, okay? You're gonna get more beauty at the end of your road, so good for you. You already have 3 lots of beautiful dead end.
Let's keep the comments to the board, please.
I'm very glad that they're not punching Gulfview through, but that doesn't do us any good down here. So what kind of protection are we gonna have against flooding? I think we need a better engineering plan, because there is no plan. I mean, they already came out there and broke that tile and basically lied to us and said they weren't even back there. Those wetland delineation flags, they're pink, have been back there since summer. And then on September 18th, when they came back there with the bulldozer and dug up the clay tile and planted that, and I called the city, they said they knew nothing about it. And now 2 weeks before Christmas, perfect planning, right? We get not even a week notice to go to our neighborhood meeting, and 2 weeks before Christmas, we're dealing with this. Okay, they don't really give us a whole lot of notice to deal with this at the holidays. And I think a lot of us are worried that, there are many of us that have kids that are gonna be graduating and, wanna possibly sell our houses. There goes the neighborhood. How are we gonna be protected against light pollution, and flooding mainly? I'm really concerned that they did not do their due diligence back here in this area where the city knows this floods. It was on the front page of the Herald News many times, but they finally got it under control. At least it doesn't come up across the street anymore. We do still get a ton of flooding that comes out of the cornfield at the end of Verdun and Viney. And my son, we all have to go out there and rake out our storm sewers every time it rains heavily. I have dual sump pumps, 2 marine batteries. I have a beautiful finished basement, and I'm super concerned that we're gonna have some major problems with
Okay,
this.
we'll see if we can get to the bottom of that. Thank you. We'll also give the
excuse me.
petitioner time to speak after to answer any of those questions and add to the comments. Yes.
Excuse me, I have one question.
Yeah.
For the lady that just stood up, could you come back to the mic, please? I was just trying to find out, are you in the Bacardi subdivision?
Yes, sir, I'm in Picardy. Mhm.
Okay, and that's owned by the city, right? It's all city?
It is, it's zoned the same way. It's R2 zoning.
But you're in the city of Joliet.
We are Joliet proper, but Plainfield Township. So we pay dual taxes. So I'm on a corner lot, and I'm concerned that now, where are all these kids gonna go to school? I have a bus stop right here. Central is where my son went, and we've got 3 schools. They're already overcrowded. Where are these kids gonna go to school?
Okay, but-
Who's gonna pay the taxes for all this work that's gonna be
The
done?
point I'm trying to get at is that you are in the city of Joliet,
I
right?
am, yes, I have a Joliet address.
Okay, good. By any chance, could city staff maybe look at her problem? By any chance, to find out why they're getting all the flooding?
Yeah, we can take a look at it. I'll talk to the director. He probably knows about it already, given the area and given his history.
Yes, it's been
So-
going on a long time.
He does not. I'm across the street from him.
Okay.
He knows nothing of any flooding issues. When it rains, the water.
Come
Okay,
on,
we need to keep
let's,
the
yeah, we're gonna
comments
have to
here.
keep
Yeah, well,
comments up
one
to
at
the
a time.
podium, so we'll do one at a time.
We'll
Thank
note
you.
it and we'll take a look at it. It could be that it's just the farm field, but we'll take a look
Yeah,
at it.
the Crest Hill side, the farm field is higher there, and it runs down, and then it comes out of the field, and it's bad. Oh, the corn
Yep.
stalks come out, but on the other side, it comes into that, there's a swale.
Mhm.
And because that's the lowest point, all the water runs that way.
Yep.
And then when it rains too much, it comes over the street and then up
Yep.
across the street, and it literally has flooded. It
Okay,
causes
we'll
the
find,
sewers.
yeah,
We'll take a look at
we'll connect with that and get some more answers. Do we have anybody else who'd like to speak next in opposition? And can you raise your hands?
I live in Picardy.
Oh, I'm gonna have you swear in real quick. Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, I live in Picardy since 1990.
And what's your name?
Maria Lech,
Okay.
right before the tornado. And I live in the lowest point on the farm field, which is by end of the Gulf View, which you see that pond, water retention, I call it ditch. So that's the lowest part of the whole farm field. And when Mayor built his dealership, I didn't know, I walked there, what the retention pond was for, because that's the highest point on that farm field. That was waste. And we still get the water, and where you see that cul-de-sac reaching that street, that's and by my house, which is the water retention on the top, that's where the water stands. Everywhere else is higher. I'm in lowest point. And I love the idea of the single-family homes, because since 1990, I was terrified what Strojan was gonna come up with. He was talking Walmart, commercial, whatever. Finally, the single-family homes is better than multiple-family homes. It's much better. And I don't know what we're complaining about, because we should be concerned about the water. That's the only concern, because that water retention on the top by the cul-de-sac, that is 200-300 feet long, and that's the whole side of my house. And if that water is gonna overflow, it's gonna flood my house, it's gonna flood my yard. That is my concern.
Okay.
And besides that, as I said on the last meeting, I don't know how this plan is gonna go, because I am in court with the owner of this farmland for adverse possession, because I've been taking care of the land since the tornado. As I clean all the mess that came from Warwick, you must be aware that the Warwick was done, all the dust and the tornado let it go, all the crap by my side. I clean it, and since then, I've been taking care of that. And the owner, through his lawyer, is scaring me that will cost me a fortune. They're gonna take me to this court, that court, up court, high court, but I'm not gonna give up. Maybe I'm nobody to millionaires, but I'm gonna keep this fight. I don't have the money, but my daughters have the money. I don't have a husband because he died 20-some years ago, but I will fight this fight. So I don't know if you can approve the plan, if where the retention is, that I've been taking care of between 30 or 40 feet on the whole length of my property, 35 years.
Okay.
As the single-family homes, I love it. But as rest of it, who's gonna pay, who's gonna be responsible in this ditch will be flooding my yard?
Okay, we'll get some answers from the petitioner on that when he speaks again.
Okay.
Thank you.
And who will be watching over when they building? Because I know when our subdivision, Picardy subdivision, was built, I was walking around. And maybe some people have the water in the basement. And one time I saw what they done. They cut the tile. So immediately the whole hall was full of water. I made the pictures. I called the city building department. And 2 hours later, there was a truck with the concrete and blocked the tile. So where does the tile go? To rest of the properties around, if you stop the tile. And that happened in my neighborhood. Maybe I will find those pictures. But I didn't call the builder. I called the city. That's why I say there is them and us. We are the ones who pay the taxes, who work for living, and big shot like Leach, he got the phone call and he sent, God rest his soul, couple hours later there was a truck with the concrete. They never rerun the tiles. That's why I asked those two guys, because that's how I found out about the old tiles. And I know some people, their sump pump never stops. It's working all the time because the water is spreading around their house.
Okay.
And even they will put the private property, whatever, I will go and check when they dig for the houses. Somebody can arrest me these days, anything is possible, but we always pay the consequences.
Okay.
You know, us hard-working class. and there is no more thee and me. This time is me, and in court I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna go to the higher court, and still it's gonna be me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Do you swear to tell the truth and penalty under law?
Yes, I do.
Name and address, please.
Alan Cruz, 2914 Vimy Ridge Drive. Now, my concern is also the water, but they said a really good speech about the water situation. I just want to repeat just one thing what one of my neighbors said, where it really doesn't make sense how they're planning on. Mr. Darcy has his whole lot surrounded and protected, while ours are not on the Vimy Ridge side. And then all the properties are going to be throwing their sump pumps to our backyards. I mean, they can plan whatever they want to plan, but there's tons of lawsuits with D.R. Horton. I got articles and articles. You can go on YouTube, you can go out and Google, and there's articles of people suing them for problems. There's one article saying that the problem that they had was a flood issue. They had sinkholes, and D.R. Horton comes in, they build their homes, and they finish, they leave, and they leave it up to the homeowners. I just hope that doesn't happen to us. And the school situation is also an issue. My daughter's school is crowded. I got a daughter that goes to Prairie, Grand Prairie, another daughter that goes to Timber Ridge, and his son that goes to Plainfield Central. Crowded schools. 120 homes is gonna even fill them up even more. But the biggest issue for me is the flooding. If we get flooding, and they're gonna be HOA homes, so they're gonna leave it up to the residents and not the city. Because when it's an HOA, the city washes their hands, right? They have no involvement. Is that true or not?
I don't find that to be true. I'm not legal. There are rules that an HOA can put into place. However, there are standards that the city uses to protect residents. So unless I'm out of turn, unless engineering with, yeah.
That, generally speaking, that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, and another thing is, there was an issue with D.R. Horton Homes that their detention ponds or their sewer mitigation problems failed, and it flooded a whole neighborhood. So my concern, like everything else, is the flooding, the schools, and yeah, the traffic, and obviously it looks like they're gonna expand to the east, so that's gonna be more issue, but that's a battle for later. But my thing is, right now, I live right behind or in front of that sewer water storm mitigation ditch that's right there on the top north, and that's a really small area. My backyard gets full of water. My sump pump never stops, even after a storm. It keeps going and going and going, because I am at a low point. And during on the other end of Vimy Ridge at the corner, when it storms, you can see the water just gushing into this other little ditch that sends it to the farm. And that's why her basement got flooded, and that's why another neighbor says that her backyard is full of water. And you guys haven't done anything, but now that they want to propose a $45 million project on this little area, now they want to say, okay, well, we'll look into it. I mean, that's something that you guys should seriously look into, because we do vote. And I voted for, I'm not going to say who I voted for, but I'm going to vote people out if there's a big problem with this whole project.
Thank you for your
that's
comments.
all I gotta say.
Anybody else like to stand up and speak?
Ray, just one comment, since there have been questions about the school. We do have a letter from the superintendent of District 202 that says that the schools in the area are capable of accommodating this development.
Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
Anthony Brownlee. I'm at 2802 Vimy Ridge Drive. I'm exactly kitty corner. The lady that was speaking about the flooding issue, and I can attest to everything that she said. My neighbor at, what is it, 2804, is on a double lot. There are 7 storm drains in our street, and every year it floods. The worst it's been is all the way up to my front door. I have pictures that I sent to my insurance agent saying, what can I do? They tell me, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, we are not in a flood zone. Sorry, we'll have to look for another, you can't buy flood insurance in our neighborhood. Now, I don't know what happened last year when Darcy expanded his lot and the drainage and everything like that, but since he did whatever he did, my backyard is now flooding. I can't walk back there. The dog is just completely a mess when she comes back inside. So there's a lot of flooding issues that I have. I know everybody already mentioned the schools. My major concern is our fire department right there is already extremely busy. What sort of burden is it going to put on the fire department? And as property property taxpayers, are we going to have to build a bigger firehouse, hire more firefighters, get more equipment to accommodate this new subdivision?
Excellent. Is that all your comments that you have?
That's questions too, if you guys don't have.
Well, after public comment, the petitioner will
That's
stand
fine.
up and try to address any
But I do have
outstanding
photos if
questions.
You guys would like to see them. It's pretty bad.
Thank you very much.
Please speak again, please.
Can you make it very short?
Yes.
We typically only allow 4 minutes, so just,
Since 1990, I lived there. My basement never was flooded. Even I am in the lowest point in whole Picardy subdivision. Never got flooded. I see the water on the farm. My yard never got flooded. That's what I'm worried about the future. So I don't know what the rest of the neighbors, they will hate me the rest of my life, but I don't know what they're talking about. One time, everybody's basements were flooded because there was no electricity for
Sub pumps.
7 hours.
yeah.
And the emergency sump pump, battery sump pump, so I had like a centimeter of water. And since then, I had the sump pump. I don't know what they talking about. I like the damn plan. I like it. My Gulfview Drive is close, and single family homes that was scaring me for 35 years. So what we want, empty area, apartment buildings, condos, whatever. It's
Okay.
beautiful.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? Please, we have 2 people coming up. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Okay, state your name and address, please.
Debbie Slebezeski, 2809 Valley Forge. And I just have a question. Is there only one access into this neighborhood? Because I live at the end of Valley Forge, so my concern would be that they're going to open that road up to have access into that neighborhood.
It seems as if there is, but they can attest to it when they come back up. Thank you for your comment. Lady in the back, did you want to? Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Alexa Bromley, 2802, Vimy.
Go ahead.
So concerning the school, the District 202 superintendent stating that he has spoken to them, there was a meeting yesterday for the school, and they haven't heard anything about this.
You mean the school board?
The school
Okay, so
board.
school administrators are different than a school board, though?
The school board
Okay.
had no idea. My children will be starting kindergarten there this coming fall, and the kindergarten size is already 32 students for 1 teacher and a part-time aide. How are they gonna handle that? And it's gonna be now full-time kindergarten across the state, and they don't have enough teachers, they don't have enough staff. They don't have enough staff to take the kids to the playground. How is that gonna be addressed?
Thank you.
There's
Is
a
that
shortage of teachers nationwide. How are they gonna hire more teachers? Not only that, will you redistrict us because the school is so overrun that we're just gonna be.
Yeah, we can't
in
speak to
Joliet?
attest to what a school district would do. Their board would do that. However, the superintendent of Plainfield is the one who issued that statement.
So we send out a checklist and ask them to reply if they can accommodate it or not. And so Glenn Wood, the superintendent for District 202, checked that, yes, schools in the area presently can accommodate potential enrollment from this development.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Mhm.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Sarah Rojas. My address is 2912 Vimy Ridge Drive. I basically back up to, where is that, stormwater management in the top left. I see a park there. I don't know if their plan is to put like a fence or anything so people can't just wander into my yard, basically.
I believe that there was a natural berm, but they'll be able to speak to that.
Okay, so they're going to landscape it around.
From what I understand, but they can attest to that when they come up.
Because I don't have a fence in the back and they can just wander into my property.
Excellent. Were there any more comments?
It's not so bad, but they need to take care of the water. The water is it's very low. I know everybody said that already, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Name and address, please.
My name is Melissa Patton. My address is 2810 Vimy Ridge Drive. I live where the trees are in the right-hand corner. A couple houses, well, three or four houses up from that. Okay, 3. She's my neighbor. And our whole backyard gets flooded. Same like the other guy said, when the dog goes out, the dog's full of mud coming back in. My bigger problem is we do have that easement, so to speak, in the back. And it's a pretty big area, and then there's the farmland. And we were told at that other meeting that the houses are gonna back up right to my fence. Now, I don't know if that's legal or not, but shouldn't there be some kind of easement? Like, we do have utilities out of the ground that are outside of the fence built around it. And I don't know how people would get back there for that because they can't come through ours because we have a fence. But I feel like, well, because of the water and because no one wants to walk outside and your neighbor's outside, plus I have dogs, and then you got the dogs right at the fence with each other, that there should be some kind of berm between that. Or if nobody wants that stormwater, we'll take that little pond thing right behind our house. So we're open to that too. And I just wanted to comment about that. And also the traffic light thing. There's a light like already at McDonald's and at Darcy. You may be able to fit like 10 cars in between. If you put another light between there, you're maybe getting 2.5, 3 cars in between there. I don't know if you guys have ever gone to the mall, but it's pretty
Here.
tight right there.
Let's wait for the comments when you're up speaking, please. Thank you.
And that was all.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Is there anybody else who'd like to come up and speak, please? Okay, seeing no people at this time with,
One last thing, because it was so much, so I didn't really say it. I mean, I am for this development. I like the single-family homes. It's gonna look nice for the neighborhood. It's just the whole situation, like everybody's saying, these houses are backing up to our houses. There should be some kind of, since we only have that little storm mitigation place, there should be, and I've seen in other subdivisions where they have, behind their houses, they have like a concrete little, not a creek, but a little concrete thing where it deters the water away and onto another area. That would be nice to have. The whole plan I like the houses, it's just the planning I think is wrong. And since D.R. Horton has a history of building things wrongly, I think that storm mitigation down there should be up on the top corner, or something up there to deter the water from flooding us and flooding the new properties that are gonna be built. But that's the only thing I wanted to say. And
excellent.
that was in my mind.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Can we have the, can we make it very quickly and up at the podium on record, please?
Yes, I would just like to know, usually there are, I lived in a new subdivision before, and I had a similar situation where I had, open field, And there are laws where on dirty, dusty days, just like when the farmer would plow, everyone closes their windows. Well, my neighbor just put in a beautiful built-in pool. She's now gonna be dusted out. We're gonna be completely dusted out. I mean, I have a beautiful backyard. That's why I live there. It's private, it's quiet. What kind of laws are gonna be in place for the builders to mitigate the dust and dirt flying? Are they going to have to water while they're bulldozing? Also noise and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure they can speak to that. Thank you. Can we have the petitioner up to start answering some of these questions?
Thank you. I'm going to do my best to address the comments I heard in no particular order of priority. And I think I'll probably leave stormwater until the end because that appears to be the reoccurrent theme. And by the way, to the extent that I neglected to mention it earlier today, Steve Shanholzer from Manhart Consulting, which is the project civil engineer, is present this afternoon, and he can address the lion's share of those comments. I'll attempt to do so in very broad strokes, but I'm certainly not a civil engineer, and I'm not purporting to be one. So with respect to the comments, and you know, I'm going to at least attempt to hit the major ones, especially those that pertain to statements of dishonesty. So I personally spoke with Miss, I think her last name is pronounced Simeon. She's the representative this evening who made reference to bulldozers on September 18th. There were never bulldozers on the site. There was a backhoe on the site, and that was done in conjunction with site reconnaissance, which D.R. Horton does and any major builder does, in connection with its pursuit of a new development site to ensure that there are not, for example, environmental hazards, the presence of bedrock, which would preclude development, a high water table, and things of that nature. With regard to the broken drain tile, that's actually a normal practice to locate a drain tile. And then if it's broken, it's of course spliced, meaning repaired, so that it continues to function in the way it was intended. I was not a part of that. D.R. Horton directly was not a part of that, but we do have consultants that undertake those activities, and that is absolutely their professional obligation. That's the extent of what I can speak to concerning that matter. As it relates to, and I heard a statement to this effect by staff, as it relates to Mayor Darcy's interest in the property, all I can tell you is that I have spoken extensively with the sole point of contact from our seller, which is Joliet Westside Real Estate LLC. He has repeatedly stated that he is the sole manager and sole member, meaning the sole party having an interest in the property, or the interest in the entity that owns the property. I also have with me a copy of the Articles of Organization, which provide just that he is in fact the sole owner and sole manager of the entity. With regard to Ms. Leck's reference to adverse possession and that perhaps being an impediment to the development of the site, number one, I want to make it clear that D.R. Horton is not a participant in that litigation. Her litigation is with the current owner of the property, which is our seller. In the event that litigation results in success for Ms. Leck, that portion of the property has been excluded from the development site. It's difficult to point out specifically, but if you look at the northernmost stormwater management basin, which has the letters SWM on it, the portion directly north of the S and W, which is sort of generally clouded to show what is intended to be trees, those are existing trees, that general area has been excluded from the site for the sole purpose of resolving Ms. Leck's concern in the event that her pending suit with the current property owner is resolved in her favor. With regard to the existing farm tiles, as I presume most people are aware, the farm tiles that are presently on the site are there for the function of providing for drainage for the current use, or what has historically been the use of the site for agricultural purposes. In conjunction with the development of the property, the farm tile drainage system will be eliminated, and it will be wholly replaced with a much more robust, much more effective stormwater management system. In fact, as it relates to some of the concerns associated with the proximity of the northernmost homes to Picardy, it's important to note that, and I have the plans with me, and Mr. Shanholzer can speak to this more extensively, there are 13 inlets along the northern boundary of the property that will be accepting stormwater from Picardy. And a large reason for that is because the watershed from the north and to the northeast, meaning coming from the farm field, the Heron property that's vacant to the northeast, is coming through Picardy, in large part down Vimy Ridge, and then making a hard left turn to go south on Miss Simeon's property through a dual-purpose small basin and swale, which then pours onto the subject development site. That water will be captured as part of the stormwater management system that is proposed as part of this development, which of course is all subject to city review and approval.
I'm sorry, where is it getting captured?
So,
Where it says Road C, are you talking there, or are you talking north of that?
It's, so if you look at where the Vimy Ridge Drive label is,
Yeah.
and go basically directly south from the DR period, it's generally in that vicinity. I can't point exactly to her home. Thank you.
But you're saying all of the water that is currently collecting up there would be redirected from that area, captured, and taken down to the stormwater management southwest?
To the southernmost stormwater management basin,
Yes.
which is the large rectangular shaped area. And again, Mr. Shanholzer can. No.
No. Wait, I'm sorry. No comments from the audience, please.
So
Let's
this
let him
basin
speak.
here, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This basin here is what I'm referring to. So the stormwater will be captured from this general vicinity here and cuts diagonally to this basin. Again,
So it's an underwater system?
Correct.
Okay.
All of the stormwater, all of the storm sewers are buried. There will be nothing at surface level, which is, I think, part of what is causing some confusion by the public this afternoon. Suffice it to say, the inadequacy of the current farm tile system, in conjunction with the fact that there's a large watershed pouring southwesterly from the Heron Farm property toward Vimy Ridge and then making that turn as I just described, that is likely what is causing their sump pump issues. And again, the idea is that as part of the development of this subject proposal, the significantly enhanced stormwater management system that will be provided will accept stormwater that is not currently able to be pushed from their homes by way of their sump pump systems. With regard to the reference to school overcrowding and the school district not being able to accept the student generation from this development, all I can say is, as I've already stated, I personally spoke with School Board President Rod Westfall. That was on Tuesday. He definitively stated to me that they, meaning the school board, had familiarity with this proposal. So I can't respond beyond that to the allegation that the school board has no knowledge of this matter. There was concern about HOA maintenance. This community will have an HOA, as is customary for all D.R. Horton communities. In fact, I think most all newly developed communities by any builder. That HOA will actually be a benefit, not only for the sake of beautification, but also for the functionality of the stormwater management system. In the event that they fail to do as they're supposed to with regard to the stormwater management system, the city has the ability to intervene. In fact, the city can establish a dormant special service area, which would then levy a tax on these properties to afford the city the funding necessary to impose whatever type of improvement needs are necessary for the stormwater management system. With regard to the reference to a burden on the fire department, or for that matter, any EMS services, the residents of these homes, like any existing city resident, will pay property taxes. Those property taxes, of course, can be used to carry operational costs for EMS services. There will also be impact fees paid as required by the city subdivision code to the school district and the park district. I didn't fully understand the comment by Ms. Patton concerning the location of the homes being up against her fence. I think perhaps what she's talking about is the fact that the lots themselves will abut the existing rear lot lines of the homes on the south side of Vimy Ridge. That's typical for.
Can you speak to any berms or division there? Because it doesn't seem like there is any.
There is not a
okay.
berm intended, but that's really no different than what is currently the case in any of Picardy or Warwick, or for that matter, Wexford to the
And
west.
how big are the lots?
7,500 square feet, which is in conformance with the R2 district regulations. Someone asked about whether there's only a single point of vehicular ingress and egress. That's correct. That's this point here. That's the fourth leg that I referenced earlier of the intersection of Essington and Old Castle. The caveat to that is, as I mentioned earlier, there's this stub road provided on the eastern boundary of the property, which is intended to afford connectivity if and when the Heron Farm property to the east is developed. But again, as I said earlier, that is not contemplated to my knowledge, nor considered by D.R. Horton. Not contemplated by anyone to my knowledge, nor contemplated by D.R. Horton. I guess with that, unless there are any specific questions for me or any particular items of discussion that you would like me to address, I would ask Mr. Shanholzer to speak more specifically to the stormwater management concerns that we heard, and perhaps can talk more in depth about the design in which the stormwater sewer will.
Are there any new public comments from the audience? That was brought up. Is there any construction codes or even Joliet codes as to noise, dust?
Yeah, we have a, I guess, I don't know if it's a noise ordinance, but we do have like a construction timeline where it's 7 to 7 most days, and then 7 to 5 on weekends and whatnot, as far as when they can be operated and things of that nature. As far as the dust and items go, there is codes in place. There's erosion control items that can be addressed as they go through. So their contractors will be the one that actually have to do that work, but they do have some.
And any and all complaints could be referred to the land use department here, right? Or ordinance here?
It'd probably be building inspection.
Building
That's
inspections.
what I was going to.
Building inspection services typically, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I'm looking through my list of remarks that I heard, I realized that I neglected to address a sort of major overarching concern expressed by Mr. Cruz pertaining to allegations of problems with D.R. Horton Homes. First and foremost, I'm not familiar with those concerns. Second of all, the company has built at this point probably in excess of 1.1 million homes. So, you know, at some point it's possible that, you know, something could go wrong, and I would like to think that if that was the case, that's been resolved. But again, I'm speaking merely based on speculation in response to what I heard Mr. Cruz state. What I can tell you definitively is that the Chicago division, of which I am a part, of which this project is being proposed, has not had those types of issues.
Excellent. Are there any new comments from the audience? Hi, can you please come up? Sure. I'm going to swear you in. Swear to tell the truth under penalty of law.
I do.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
My name is Sherry Hardy. I live at 2806 Vimy Ridge Drive. And I was always under the assumption that we had an easement back there. I have trees that I have paid out of pocket to take care of. So in the summer, it's, and then now they're gonna, I don't know, are they cutting them all down or in the corner?
Yeah, can you come up
Sure,
and
come
speak
on
to
up.
it? And you can use your little fancy laser too if you'd like.
I wanted to use it.
I know, me too.
Anyway, so
You-
I'm sorry, the whole thing is, what, if there's been an easement there, I've been there 22 years, 23 years, all of a sudden they're entitled to not have an easement?
I keep looking at you. You can sense it's coming. Can you speak to the easement, please?
Yeah, so typically with subdivisions, there's easements that are wrapped around the existing property. The easement that you're referring to is probably contained on your property as it sits. The area that they're purchasing most likely does not have that easement attached to it. It's going to depend on how the Leach subdivision was built, and we'd have to go back and look at those records. But those are usually contained on your lots.
Because I see them leaving the trees green right there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Okay, we could do that. And then I'm hearing they're gonna back right up to the house, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
There'll be other easements that'll wrap around these houses as well, utilities and whatnot, so.
Right, but down by us, we are vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, we're going to have only comments up at the thing. So is there anything you'd like to add to the easements or?
So I believe what she's describing is this area here. Those clouded green areas are generally intended to represent areas of tree preservation. There is a full landscape plan on file with the city, which includes, among other things, a tree preservation plan. So it identifies those trees that are proposed to be removed and those trees that are proposed to remain. As you would expect, in accordance with the city's tree preservation ordinance, our endeavor is to preserve as many trees as possible, including specifically those that are deemed to be higher caliber and therefore subject to preservation in the absence of a payment of cash in lieu. What I can say with regard to an easement is there is not, to my knowledge, an easement on this property along the northern boundary. There will, as Mr. Mikas referenced, be easements along the boundary of these lots, just like the existing lots on the south side of Vimy Ridge for purposes of utilities. And part of that utility installation will include the stormwater management system that I referenced earlier.
Understood. Public comment?
Hi, I'm sorry. You mentioned utilities earlier. I'm at 2802. I'm the second to last house on Vimy Ridge. I have the utility box in my backyard. Will you guys, are you responsible for, are you gonna, I guess, remove that, replace it? Or how is that gonna work in the building of your subdivision? Or will it be something completely new?
I'm going to swear you in.
Sure.
Do you swear to tell the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
So I'm Steve Shanholzer from Manhard Consulting. We're the civil engineer on the project. So I could talk about some of the stormwater concerns and then, you know, possibly the utility box that you mentioned. So it's likely that that box is part of the easement that was mentioned earlier. So that easement would be maintained by the utility company, and you know, if it's within that easement, it would be maintained by that utility company.
I guess my question would be, would you guys need access to my property during construction?
So there may need to be access to your easement for purposes of utility.
It's inside my fence, that's why I say my property.
Understood, but just so you're aware, the way that easements generally work is that there are grantees, meaning beneficial parties, like the utility companies. And so it would be the utility companies that would make the connections. And theoretically, yes, if your yard is fenced in, which is then enveloping or closing off the easement area, then yes, theoretically, the utility company would need to gain access to the utility box at some point.
They would need to gain access under many different circumstances, though. Yeah.
And that's why when the time comes, if I do change the fence, I'm boxing that out completely. But then, will that actually cause you guys to end up removing all the trees in there? Because my property butts up to that tree line that's still existing in your rendering.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. Will what cause the?
Can you actually, I'm going to ask, can you say it into the microphone just so it's captured?
With needing access to the electrical box that's on my property then, or on the easement, would that end up requiring you to remove the trees that are there? Because they're in the renderings now.
Yeah, so the access alone would not dictate removal of trees, but the installation of utilities could theoretically require that removal.
Come on, yeah.
A couple of my trees are.
Or just wait till you get up. Yeah, I want to make sure that they can catch you on.
A couple of my trees already have tags on them since like September, October. And I'm like, what the heck, something's going on. Are those to be removed or are those to be kept? That the trees behind, right behind my fence have blue tags on them, numbered. Are those trees to go or are they to stay?
Okay.
Yeah, your turn.
So I'm not familiar with the blue color, but what I can tell you is that as part of this proposal, as required by the city, there's a tree inventory performed. So all trees are tagged, and those trees that are tagged should only be on the site, not on your property. And I mention that only because clearly from the neighborhood meeting, there was some confusion or at least insinuation that some trees on private property had been tagged.
Oh, no. No,
Okay.
this is on the easement that we currently have.
Okay, so we don't have we don't know which ones are coming or which ones are going, but,
Correct. I would
okay.
know that.
Okay, seeing no more public comment, can we, offer
I have
discussion from the commission?
I have one more question.
Yes.
For Mr. Bauer? Mr. Bauer? Sorry. I'd like to get a guarantee that there's not going to be any multiple family dwellings or we just residential homes, right?
You have my absolute guarantee.
Thank you.
And beyond that, it's not even permitted by virtue of the zoning classification we're seeking, which is R2.
Okay, thank you. I
Sure.
appreciate that.
Of course.
I'd also like verification that we would also need a motion to table the one as well, right? The PUD, and then we would need motions to individually make a vote today for the preliminary and zoning, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, I got one more question also.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is for city
I always
staff.
expect it from you.
For city staff, can I have a guarantee that that lady, her flooding issue will be taken care of by the city?
Well, I don't know if it'll be taken care of, but we'll look into it. We have to get the information from the old subdivision as well, so that's part of the research that we'll do. But
Okay,
we'll
another
contact
question
her.
I got for you too is Gulf View and Vimy Ridge, are they in the city of Joliet?
Yes.
That they are in the city? Okay,
Yes.
so we can accommodate the people that live on Vimy Ridge and Gulf View, right?
Accommodate.
With city services?
Yes.
We can
Yeah,
accommodate
if I can look, if I have to look at something out there, then
Okay.
I can look for it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate
Okay,
that.
so seeing that there is no more public comment, let's have discussion and/or a motion. Let's make the motion preferably for PUD 13-24.
So moved.
We
Second,
need it to be.
It's a
ta-
motion for
tabled.
tabling, correct?
Yes, motion for table.
Tabling.
First and second. Please pull the board.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
aye.
Ms. Radakovich?
Aye.
Mr. Turk?
Aye.
Mr. Cox? Mr. Crumpton?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye. Okay, now can we have discussion and/or motion for PUD -12-24, vote separately? Right? We have to vote separately on those, or together?
You can, it's up to you. You can
Okay.
combine them or vote separately.
Okay, then can we have a motion, and then label what your motion is?
Is that the one the staff is asking for a table?
No, we just voted on the table, so now this
Okay,
will
this
be
is
the
for the-
preliminary and/or preliminary with zoning.
Okay.
I'll motion to approve both.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve PUD 12-24 and Z-3-24. Can we get a poll of the board, please?
Mr. Orlando?
Aye.
Ms. Radakovich?
Aye.
Mr. Turk?
Aye.
Mr. Cox? Mr. Crumpton?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Thank you. That item will be on the which date?
January 21st?
January 21st, City Council. Thank you. Likely.
Likely.
Please follow the city meeting agenda calendar in case that is not on the agenda. And as was stated earlier, final plan unit development will come back to this commission for review as well before city council. So moving on to new business, there's no new business. New or old business, not for final action or recommendation, there is none. Under general public comment, this section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding non-agenda items and are allowed a maximum of 4 minutes. It is not a question and answer period, and staff and the planning commission members do not generally respond to public comments. If anyone would like to speak on non-agenda items, they may do so right now.
Hi, come forward. Maximum of 4 minutes, please.
So it's almost like well, it's non-agenda. Darcy's lights and his intercom are on all night. Is there a way we can tell them to turn them off, or?
I would imagine that you would have to, kind of what we said earlier, you would have to make a complaint with the ordinance. What division was that? I'm sorry, building inspectors or inspections?
Zoning can take a look into if there's an issue with light or noise pollution.
All night, they're on. I can hear them from my house, and that's like a good, probably like 500 feet or more away. And if I can hear it, I'm pretty sure everybody else is, but no one complains. But I mean, we're gonna start complaining now.
Sure. If you can stick around after the meeting, we can get your contact information and follow up.
Okay, well, you already know the issue. Do I have to really give you my information, or?
I guess it depends on how you would like us to report back to you. You know.
Well, as long as it shuts off and turns off, that's a good report.
Fair enough.
How about we take it as
That's how we're gonna
anonymous
know.
right now, and
Yeah.
then if it continues, I would encourage you to call the department and make a more formal complaint so that it is documented by staff.
Okay.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay, but who documents that if the mayor owns that?
Well,
People are calling,
and I'm sorry, that's not, yeah, no, I understand.
Coming out.
I understand.
And
I can,
we were expecting a nice dealership. I have pictures, I made it today. We see as Picardy, that looks like a junkyard back there.
Okay.
Thank God that they gonna build this.
thank you for your comment. As long as there are no other public comments. Come forward, please. Non-agenda public comment?
Yeah, this might be sort of wrapped into the previous one. I did call and make a formal complaint. I love my neighbor in back of me dearly, but he put on an addition, and his house is super tall. It's taller than a typical two-story, and it has an eave all the way around it, and he had floodlights that came down. But they used to be on like a timer, and they weren't real bright. So
Mhm.
I have a hot tub, and I have a nice deck and a fire pit, and well, he swapped out the lights, and now it looks like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So, I mean,
Okay.
it looks like a spaceship landed back there. So I called to find out if there, because I know there's lighting ordinances where you're not supposed to impede another neighbor's.
Directly pointed at like
Yes.
another house,
I mean,
yeah.
like a beautiful landscaped yard, my little lights are, they don't even come on now because these huge floods. I mean, we can't sit on our deck, we can't go in our hot tub. So I'm like, gosh, well, yeah, can you like put them on a timer or back on whatever? They want them on. And you can see them from 3 blocks away when you come in.
And you called the department and made a formal complaint?
Yeah, I called planning, and they told me, I spoke with a very nice lady. I didn't bring that information with me. I have it written down at home. They were supposed to get with someone in planning, and these 2 guys were gonna talk, and someone was gonna get back to me, because, it depends on how bright those lights are. It's all done based on the wattage
Yeah.
and everything, and how far it's impeding, and they're supposed to be shielded. Just like if you had a street sign or something
Mhm.
that was shining into,
Has
nobody
nobody got back to you? Okay.
It's been like since summer.
Can you give your name and information to my guy over there? There you go.
Yeah, they were gonna send someone
And
out to look at it, and I mean, I'm
and
not
he can
trying to
follow
be-
up with that.
But he turned them off for like a couple months, and then as soon as winter came on, boom, they're
Right back
on.
again.
But I have a sunsetter, so when I took my sunsetter down, now they just blast me right in my kitchen
Yeah.
window, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Look into that. So no more public comments? Oh, oh my God. It's a party. Okay, we'll make it quick.
So my last thing is, I didn't think I got any final closure on this. So this plan right here,
Mhm.
is it finalized, or is
We
there a
were,
way we
so this is, we did the preliminary today and the zoning today. Later, I'm assuming at our January meeting, I'm guessing, we'll most likely be voting on what we also tabled, which is the finalized PUD on it. So
Okay.
that will be at a later date.
Okay, so it's not set in stone. They can switch it and put some
From my experience, it's
mitigation
been-
somewhere else where it can help the flooding.
From my experience, it's been very minor details that might change. If I'm saying something wrong, Ray, please jump in. It's usually pretty
Yeah.
minor.
Yeah, no, you're right. If there are material changes to what was approved today with the preliminary PUD, that will come back in front of this commission for additional consideration. The plan right now would be for the applicant to finalize details on the final PUD and their engineering drawings as needed by staff, which is approved in concert with that final PUD. Right now that was tabled to January 16th, so that's tentatively what we have set for next consideration of that item here.
So most likely they're not gonna switch the drainage situation with the ditch and put it up there.
If they did something like that, that would have to come back to the commission and we would have to re-vote on it.
Okay, because it looks like Darcy's getting a sweet deal. He's getting his whole house, his whole property protected, and everybody else is getting screwed. That's how I see it, but I mean.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not really mad at DR Horton, you know what I mean? We want this, but we want it to be done right, and like I said, I got.
So, and I see what you're saying, and I do want to wrap it up because this is for the public comment. We've already
No, yes,
voted on the
yes,
other
no, I
stuff.
know.
But since it's going to come back anyways, I might as well just say it. So I do infrastructure work, and so I understand what the developer is saying when he says that just because the water is collected there does not mean that you're not protected on your side. There's underground systems that run under the property lines that take the water from that pooled area in the northeast corner, and it tunnels it to those areas. So that water will be redistributed into those final resting place, final retention place.
Yeah.
It will sit there, but that is not, it's the southwest part is not the only area that it's collecting from. And I can see why you would think that, because you're like, well, how does the water go? But there's underground
No, I know
systems that
that.
carry it down,
No,
and
but that's
they
my
just hold them
concern though,
there.
is because it's going from the far northeast corner, and it's gonna go all the way down to that system, but it can fail, and it has failed in other properties. I know he mentioned that he doesn't know, but you can Google this. You can YouTube people saying DR homes are Hal homes that they've purchased. There's an allegation here saying that several lawsuits were filed against DR Horton throughout
Okay.
a town called Berkeley County. It says alleging improperly installed roofs and persistent drainage issues that resulted in significant damages to their homes.
Okay.
So I know the engineering process, they can say all they want, but these homes, I'm in the construction business.
Mhm.
I see how they build these homes. They build these homes too fast, and I'm not sure even if they're gonna even elevate that whole area, and then we're gonna be at the lowest point. Cause that's what they do, when they build, these homes, the newer constructions like these, they elevate the land, and then everybody else is screwed. And regardless of how they do the drainage system, that's a long way from that point to that point, and it can fail. And you can Google it. There's been homes that these people have built that had flooded the whole neighborhood because the system has failed. So that's my issue. Why is there 1, 2, 3 storm mitigation systems on the bottom right there, but nothing on the top corner?
Okay.
That's my issue.
Thank you for your comments.
And then you can tunnel it however you want, but the system can fail because that's a big way to travel water. And I mean, they don't need one right there. They need one at the top corner, I believe. But I'm not an engineer. I just work construction. I see how they build these homes. And they build them very poorly anyway, so, that's it.
Thank you for your comments. Well, also remember that this is gonna, we're making recommendations here, right? So our recommendation goes to city council. I would also like, you know, if you have more photos or something you would like to be seen before their final vote, then I would highly encourage you to send it to our planning department. You're welcome. So you can get all that. And they will email them out to each one of the council members, just like they do us for anything that is submitted before the meeting. Absolutely.
We can provide you with contact information.
Excellent. Okay. Raymond, take it away.
Seeing no other public comment for non-agenda items, a motion for adjournment would be in order.
So moved.
Oh, wait.
Yep.
I have a question. Were we supposed to pick the vice chair?
No, since that was left off the agenda, that will happen at the January 16th meeting.
Thank you. Motion for adjournment.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Can I get, do we do a roll call? Yeah, sorry. We do it differently at zoning. Yeah, we do it differently.
Yeah.
All are in favor?
All those in favor?
All in favor of adjournment?
Okay,
signify
we
by
can do it
saying
that way,
aye.
this way. We do it differently in
We can do a
zoning,
voice
sorry.
vote on adjournment, yeah. All
Okay,
in favor?
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. There we have it.
Motion carries, meeting's adjourned. Thanks.